The FMS transition team, the work that they did, and more importantly, how they did it, makes you so proud, to be part of Lifeworks.
Self-directed services means that the person gets to choose how their services are delivered and when, by the people they choose.
We were very concerned going into the change because it was such a big change, and a change that nobody had any option. The state said this was what we were moving to, that a lot of individuals would opt out. If they opted out, they would lose that opportunity to self-direct their funds, to use those monies to build the kind of life that they want.
All of our individuals that we serve receive waivered services. What the families choose to do, instead of using a traditional provider, they choose to use those dollars in what we call a budget. And from there, they write a plan and figure out how they're going to spend those. Most typically, it's hiring staff or purchasing goods and services that support their individual or the recipient to maintain their life in their community and their own home. That piece of control and that ability to determine who touches me in my life, I think it's just the most amazing thing to be able to have. And through self-directions, you don't have people telling you how to do it and what to do it and when to do it. It's you leading that way and directing that way.
Families are completely in charge. We're here to help them, but they steer the ship completely.
So we also were very focused on trying to make it as understandable, as easy, and not disrupt their lives.
So the state had put a deadline on when these services need to be set up, and if they weren't ready to go at that date, they could potentially be in a place where they couldn't have staff work, or they couldn't purchase the goods or services that they needed to remain in their home.
When a loved one loses the services, let's say that they can't stay on the program that they're doing, then not only does it impact the family, because now the family has to figure out how they're going to care for that individual every single day, but then the staff that normally care for them aren't getting paid, and so they're out of their work, and it can cause a spiral in their family.
A lot of our folks are not highly paid. This is not a service where people get paid well. And so that day-to-day, that relying on being able to have those hours to be able to pay their bills, meet their rent, buy their groceries, extremely important. And for us, there's caregivers with inside families. Families hire their own family members to provide that service.
So it's a domino effect, and it really can impact a lot of different things.
So through this process, our single motivation was to make sure that service disruption did not happen.
So our team went in a matter of about 30 days preparation, taking 900 families and moving them into a completely different service model that required a completely different set of paperwork, filing, education.
So we brainstormed in our meetings about how we could help the families get through the process, and we realized that we had a large volume, so the only way we would be able to do that would be to have more than one family come at a time.
A one-stop shop where we can walk them through how to transition services and set up FMS services. And so that's how the summits came to be. Well, welcome everybody. We are here at a Lifeworks Summit for FMS services. Some of you may have heard that term before and wondering what FMS is. We will be walking you through the transition from FSE services to FMS services today.
I actually sat in on one of our summits, a room full of families going through this transition. So I was able to see firsthand, how complex it is. It was difficult to understand what we were asking those families to do.
Yeah, you have a question?
Why would I need workers' compensation?
But I also got to see the difference it made to have our staff in that room, sitting next to people one-on-one, continuing to not only explain but to motivate and encourage and say, you know what, we'll get this done, you know, so that you can continue to self-direct just like you are.
We know that the families that we work with have crazy, busy, hectic lives, and we just wanted to make this change and transition as easy as possible for them.
And people in the room, they had no choice but to bring their kids with them. They had to get this done. Our staff, together with those families, got through all of that, executed paperwork in the moment. You would fill it out and sign it, and another staff person would go input it so that it was already in the state's database. It wasn't giving you a packet to take home and do when you got home. We did it right there. So when you left, it was taken care of.
We did about 85 different summits where we had times for families to come in, and those times were early in the morning, midday, later in the day. We did them on weekends. We just really wanted to be able to provide those opportunities that worked best for the families, so this was as easy for them as possible.
It made all the difference to the families in that room.
Everybody who plays a role, or what your job is typically at Lifeworks, that day-to-day, what they got hired to do, and so forth, whether you were in finance, payroll, HR, or program, everybody had to learn something new.
All of that paperwork that we went through during the summits, all of the tax documents, the IRS forms, I think that was a really scary experience for our families to be filling out important paperwork like that. And the coordinators needed to know the ins and outs of every line of that paperwork.
And I think that piece of it is what just really leads to their excellence in what they did.
All of our support functions, it just brought us together like a family.
I mean, I've never been more proud to work for or work with a very distinguished group of people. They not only did what we asked of them, but they did it with heart and soul, and they knew what the consequence could be to the recipient if we didn't get it right.
The FMS transition team took a person-centered approach, self-directed approach, focus on the people that we serve first. I think that's a great model for us across Lifeworks and across the sector as well.
I feel very proud that the Fiscal team is receiving this award. It was an immense amount of work, but we did it because we care. We really do care about the families that we serve.
The FMS transition work really makes me that much more optimistic about how we can handle these kind of challenges in the future. We know they're coming. Regulatory changes, funding changes. You have to respond quickly at times, and you have to respond in a way that is centered and focused on the people that we're serving.
I can't thank you enough for all the work that you did to make this successful.
Congratulations, FMS team. Thanks for what you did, what you do, and how you do it.